Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 159, and I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fiber Nymph on Ravelry, Plurk, and Instagram. And we also have a Facebook page. I don't say that often, but there's a Fiber Nymph Dye Works Facebook page, which is a great place to go if you want to see when updates are going to be. I post newsy kind of things there more frequently than I post them anywhere else. So if you want to know about updates, you want to see some of the highlights that might be going into the updates, I always post a link to the podcast from there. Check it out, like our page if you haven't already. There's also a Fiber Nymph Dye Works group on Ravelry. There's also a 90% Knitting group on Ravelry. Some people have trouble finding the 90% Knitting group. I think because of the % sign that's in the title. Whenever you're typing it in, it's actually 90-knitting, like 90 and a dash and then knitting. The % sign doesn't show up. So anyway, I'll try to remember to link that in show notes. And I apologize, show notes did not happen last time. It was just too crazy. If I ever have a week where show notes don't go up, which happens occasionally, and you have a question about something, please just feel free to ask, and I will be happy to answer whatever questions that you have by way of that. I forgot to make a list of people to say hello to. Bad me. Gosh, that's a horrible podcaster. Let's see. I'm trying to see if anybody new has mentioned anything since I last podcasted. Oh, actually, no. Nobody knew. I just looked. There have been no new introductions, so I don't have to worry about that. But if you are someone who watches the podcast and would like to introduce yourself, we do have a welcome to the group thread in the 90% Knitting group. And just to let you know, it is www.ravelry.com/groups/90, the number 90-knitting. That's the URL to get to our page. Because if you go to the groups and you search 90% knitting, nothing comes up. Which is frustrating, isn't it? I wonder why that is. I mean, you would think if you just do 90 knitting without the % sign, though, it does come up. So there you go. Okay, I've already gone off into other areas. Let's get started. It's been a little while since I recorded last, so a little over a week, I guess, a week and a half maybe, because I had my show last weekend, and last week was just super, super busy getting ready for that, as well as other stuff that I have to do, wholesale orders and things. So I decided to wait till today to record. And I do have an awful lot to show you, actually, so let's get to that. I have a couple finished objects, even. I finished the Fruit Loop socks. And I did not think I would be able to show these to you finished because I thought I would have already gifted them to Heather, my one helper who is getting these socks. As it turned out, I had a total brain blip, and whenever I did see her very, very briefly last week, one day, I totally forgot to give her the socks. So she'll be getting them tomorrow, but luckily that means you get to see them today. So they are done. I'm really happy with how they turned out. They were just plain vanilla socks, afterthought heel, top down, cuff down, however you say it. They're just fun to knit. All the little stripies make me so happy. So this is my Bounce Base Fruit Loops colorway. I knit them on US 1.5s, which is my usual sock needle size. So they are done and ready to be given to their recipient. I also finished another project that I really didn't think I was going to get finished between the last time you saw it and now, but I did. And it's my Age of Brass and Steam shawl, and it's huge. So I can't really get the whole thing in the screen, but here it is. It is really, really big. It's not been blocked yet. The ends obviously have not been woven in yet either. I measured it this morning. It measures approximately 68 inches across the wingspan and about 22 inches down the center. So when and if I do block this, I will probably block it just to kind of get it to lay a little flatter. Probably not going to hard block it though, because it lays pretty nicely as it is. It's more or less just the edging that I want to be able to block. As I've told you, I kind of winged this. I was following the Age of Brass and Steam pattern, which is by Orange Flower Yarn. I used US 7 needles, Scholler and Stahl Limbo Color, which is a yarn that's some of my oldest stash ever. I bought it back in 2007. And I started so many projects with this yarn and they never worked out. And so this ended up being the perfect project for this yarn, quite frankly. But you saw it last. Here's the marker for where I was when you saw it last. So I really only ended up adding about maybe, I don't know, 3, well, not going by the edge really, because if you go down, about 3 or 4 inches, I guess, is all I added. And I was towards the end of the 3rd ball, I believe, when you saw it last. Let's see, where did I join? I don't remember now. Let's see. Here's where it started. I think my 2nd ball I joined in on the edge, yes. 3rd ball I joined in here. So this must have been where I was at the 4th ball. No, that's not right. Anyway, all right. Here's where I joined in on the 3rd ball. Or the 4th ball, I'm sorry. I started the 4th ball here. I did not get very much in because these rows were so very long at that point. And I did join, I can't find it now. I joined the 5th ball in, oh, here it is, right here. So like the last inch is the 5th ball. And it used about half the ball. So, I mean, really long at the end. At any rate, once I started with the 4th ball, and I had just finished this row of eyelets. I'm showing you the wrong side here. Let me show you the right side. So I did 1, 2, 3 eyelet sections through this. I goofed early on and went longer than I needed to go to get to the 2nd eyelet section. So at that point, I was just winging how long I did it. Each section got a little bit longer before I would do the eyelets. Well, once I did this 3rd one, I got the 4th one in. Once I got the 4th eyelet row in, I knew there was no way I had enough yarn to do a whole other stockinette section and then do the eyelet row the way it calls for and a bind off. That just wasn't going to happen. There was not enough yarn. So instead what I did, after I did that 4th eyelet row, I did a couple rows of stockinette, and then I did another eyelet row, a couple rows of stockinette, a final eyelet row, and then I did the garter stitch at the edge, which is how it's written, to be bound off. You do a couple rows of garter and then the bind off. So my edging is actually 3 garter rows. Now, I know this isn't really showing up very well because it's so busy and there's busyness in the background. Maybe if I hold it up against me. I don't know. Can you see that? I don't know. Take my word for it. So I'm really pleased with how it turned out. And like I said, it's huge now. Like it covers me really well. It's going to be such a nice squishy curl up in kind of shawl. These are the kind of shawls I was sleeping in this winter, okay, that I would wrap around me when I went to bed. And it'll be perfect for that. It'll just be perfect to curl up in when I'm sitting in bed at night knitting. Or whatever. And I think the colors are definitely going to make it a beautiful autumn shawl. So this may find its way with me to Rhinebeck this fall. Just because I love it. Ooh, there, the colors are really, really good right there. This was really hard to get an accurate picture of for my project page because the colors did not want to play nice. And I was even taking the picture outside, although I was using my camera instead of my phone. Camera on my phone as opposed to my good camera, so I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, I'm sorry, Age of Brass and Steam is finished and I am so happy with it, so that's good. I worked on a bunch of other things though. I finally, once I finished the Fruit Loop socks, because those were my sock goal, I needed to get those done, I went back to the Age of Brass, the Atlantic Current socks that I had started quite a while ago now. But this was the second one. I'm on the second, and the last time you saw it, okay, here's the cuff. I was right here. So I added the whole rest of the cuff, and I just finished the heel flap this morning. So I am ready to now do the heel turn and pick up for the gusset. So this one's, you know, at the halfway point, and it should move along pretty well because I think this is going to be my new dedicated sock that I work on, so that I can get this pair finished. And here's the first one. You've seen that before. The pattern is the Atlantic Current Socks by Melissa Tuttle Sibley. The yarn is Unwind Yarn Company Journey Sock in the Feria de Valencia colorway, which is just beautiful. It's one of her club colorways. So that is moving right along, and I am enjoying it. I love that pattern. A lot of people have been knitting it, and if you want a simple pattern that has visual interest, give it a try, especially if you're using a variegated yarn. It's a wonderful pattern with all those slip stitches. Wonderful pattern for variegated yarns. I'm kind of tossing things that way when I'm done because I don't have a table here today. I have things stacked. It's sort of crazy in here today. Anyhow, moving right along. I did, however, work on my expanding community socks a little bit since you saw them last, or since I recorded last. I knew these were going to take me a while, and these are the ones that I'm doing as a sort of little mini knit along with Disa from Disa's Craftworks. She's also doing these. She's farther ahead than I am, but this is not a mindless knitting pattern. This I actually have to sit and I have to pay attention to the pattern to knit. So that's why it has not been getting as much attention lately, just because I haven't had a lot of time to sit and do that. But I pulled this out on Easter because I wanted to knit on something special on Easter. I just thought, you know, it would be nice to have something to put my attention on because I spent a lot of time. It was a very quiet Easter. I'll talk about Easter later. But I was home most of the afternoon and evening by myself, and I didn't want to work. You know, I had plenty of work I could have done, and I honestly don't remember now. I may have worked a little bit, like done some rescanning, but I mainly just wanted to relax and sit, and so I worked on this sock a little bit. So the last time you saw it, I did not have a little dicky-do in here, but I was about here because I had only gotten through one pattern repeat. And since then, I believe I have done at least 2 more. I think I've done 2 more. So I have 3 full pattern repeats done on the foot. It's getting easier. Like, it's getting to be a little bit more intuitive for me to knit it as I go. It's not a difficult pattern by any stretch of the imagination. It's very well written. The pattern is written by Megan Williams of Stockinette Zombies. It's called the Expanding Community, K-N-I-T-T-Y, socks. And this is my bounce base in the Baubles colorway. It was one of my new Christmassy colorways this year, holiday colorways. So anyway, I love how it's turning out. It looks really, really big to me at the moment. Wide. So I'm hoping I cast on the correct size. Otherwise, these are going to be very, very roomy socks. And I'm not sure how that's going to play out. But we'll see, I guess. We will see. Yeah, I forget which size I cast on. I cast on the large. I cast on the large, which was 72 stitches, I think. No, I don't think I did. I don't know now. Shoot, I'm going to have to check. Because I know there was measurements also that you could go by. I shouldn't take the time to look for this right now. Oh, finished sock circumference. You know, I don't know. I'm going to have to count stitches and figure out what I did. I'm not ripping it out. It's going to get knit in this size regardless. And if they don't fit me, then maybe they'll end up being gifted to someone else. But anyway, I did put some time in on those, and I'm glad because they were fun to knit. You know what? I'm horrible about telling you what knitting bags I have. And obviously the first 2 are finished objects, so I don't have knitting bags. So let me tell you about my knitting bag. This was the Doctor Who Christmas bag by Jessalou. From Bags by Jessalou, or Stitched by Jessalou, I'm sorry. Limited edition 2014 Doctor Who Christmas bag. So, and I will use it all year round because it's Doctor Who and it's a Jessalou bag. And I love this little bag shape. This is a perfect size for a sock project. Okay, I don't know what it's called, what that size is called, but anyway. Oh, I already tossed it way over there. The bag that my Atlantic Current socks are in is that's a nice looking hoe bag that the Stockinette Zombies had. I forget what they had them for, but I bought it through them or through a bag thing that they were doing. So anyway, I'll show it to you another time because heaven knows it's probably not going to be done by next week. What else? Oh, I cast something new on. Actually, I cast a bunch of little things on. Oh, I didn't write the second one in my notes. I have to add this just so I remember. Okay. I decided to cast on something new last night because I had finished the Age of Brass and Steam, so I didn't have any shawls actively on the needles. I have shawls on the needles, but they're not ones that I'm actively working on because I'm not in love with them. So they may or may not ever get finished. But anyway, I wanted to cast this one on for a while, and I've talked about it before. And I almost cast this on Easter. I thought about this being my special Easter project to work on, but I knew I still had that one going, and I had some other things going that I wanted to finish before I cast this on, just so I could give this more attention. But it's the canopy shawl. Let me see if I can get a picture in there without showing you much of the pattern. Yeah, that may not work. Where's the other picture? Here it is. Oh, there. That's a better picture. It's the canopy shawl by Melody from Mandarins. The Mandarins podcast and Mandarins Ravelry shop. So this is her pattern, and it is lovely. I'm not having trouble knitting it because the pattern is very clear. When I printed the pattern out, though, the font that she used is a very fine font, and it prints out fairly light. I don't think it's my printer because everything else is printing out okay. It's a very clear font, but it prints out very fine. And same with the chart. The chart is just so light, and it's probably also my eyes that ordinarily I would follow the charted part of the pattern for the lace part. But I'm not. I'm actually following the written part just because it seems a little easier to me to see. I think it's probably more my eyes than anything. The lines just aren't as heavy as what I'm used to in a printed out pattern. That's the biggest thing. Other than that, the pattern is great. This is my one and only fat squirrel bag that I got at SSK last year. I love this bag. It's a little bit large right now for this project, but it's going to grow. So this is the yarn I am using. First of all, this is a base that I no longer carry only because my supplier discontinued it, and I've never replaced it with anything. This was my Serenity base, which is an 80/20 superwash merino bamboo blend. And I believe I originally introduced this into the shop with a club and then started carrying it in the shop until it was discontinued. What I absolutely adore about this base is that it is only 20% bamboo. I've had other bamboo blends that I've worked with which are 50/50 or 60/40, and that much bamboo I feel like is too much. I love bamboo because it gives you that sheen. And being a cellulose fiber, it does not take the dye the way the wool does because I use wool dyes, acid dyes. And bamboo is a plant fiber, so it's not going to take those dyes. So you end up with a very soft, muted color whenever you dye with a bamboo blend. And that I love. And this is just such a joy to work with. I've got to get another bamboo blend in because I've never replaced this one. Anyway, this was actually, I believe, a test skein that I had from something because one of the club colorways I did was this one, which was Dream Horizon. And I'm hanging on to this one. Well, I had this one and this skein. These were the only two I had left. And I think what I'm going to do, because there's more variegation in this one, I decided not to use it for the shawl because I wanted it to be more tonal. But I may use this for the applied edging because I don't know that I'm going to have enough yarn. There was only like 438 yards in one of these skeins, and the pattern calls for 480. So if I do not have enough yarn to do the whole thing in the one skein, I'm going to use this skein for the applied edging. But as it is, I have started. Not very far, but you know, I just started it last night, so I'm kind of happy with how far I am. Can you see it? If I can get it to focus. There we go. So I've done the stockinette section up at the top up here, and then I've gotten through one repeat of the first chart. There's 2 charts. So you do chart A, and then you do chart B, and then you do more stockinette. So there's like 3 segments. It's like stockinette, lace, stockinette, lace, stockinette, lace, I think. I have to look at the schematic now. Yeah, stockinette, lace, stockinette, lace, stockinette, lace, then stockinette, and then the applied edging. So, so far so good. I don't feel like I've made any major errors or anything so far, which is a good thing. The pattern is easy to follow. Some of her abbreviations, I mean, she defines, there's like a little key for all of the abbreviations. There was a couple, like there's a left twist and a right twist kind of dealio, which is not quite a cable, it's just twisting the stitches, and so I had to think about that. I mean, I do those a lot, but I've not seen them. Most of the time when you have a pattern, like they'll write those out, and special things like that, they'll often explain how to do them. Same way with there was an SSSK, so you were slip, 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 and then knitting the 3 together. You know, nothing was hard. It was just things I had to think about for a second because I wasn't used to seeing them written the way they're written. Other than that, though, it's going along really well, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the yarn. I'm knitting it on, oh, that's the one thing I changed. The pattern called for using, well, the pattern calls for using a sport weight, and this is technically a fingering weight yarn that I'm using, the Serenity. So I went down a needle size. It called for a US 8, and I'm using a 7. And this is my Knitter's Pride. I can never remember what the wooden ones are called. They're not the carbons. The Knitter's Pride, something else, wooden needles. I don't know. I love these needles though, because they're nice hardwood, nice and smooth, really well polished, and the joins are fabulous. Like you don't feel that little place where the metal part attaches. So it's excellent to work with. Anyway, so that's my canopy so far, and I'm really enjoying it. I love the pattern. I love the yarn. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about having to use this as the edge if I end up having to do that. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be okay. One way or another, it'll be fine. I could always, no, I'm not going to say that. I guess I could always just omit the last lace and stockinette section and just have it be a smaller shawl. I'll have to see where I'm at after 3 of them, and then we'll see. Or after 2 of them. We'll figure it out. It'll all be fine. So, that was one new thing. The other new thing I started on Saturday at my show. Because usually I take with me a sock project to work on while I'm at a show, or something equally as easy. Like mindless knitting is key for knitting at a show. And I do knit while I'm vending. Because you need downtime or whatever, when people aren't there, you're not actively talking to people and writing up orders. I like to have something to do with my hands because that's all I do. I sit in my booth most of the day. I decided instead, don't laugh. Just don't laugh, okay? Because I know I said I was never, ever, 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 ever going to do something like this. But I am. And I'm trying to find. It involves this little tiny crochet hook. And it involves lots of little balls of yarn. And this is my bag that my friend Amelia made for me. And this is a bag that I got at SSK the first year. And I don't know who made it, but it's cute. I like it. And inside this bag are, I believe, 14 little mini granny squares. Yes, I'm doing a minis project, okay? Do not judge, because I know I said that I was not going to do this. And here I am doing it. I have no idea what these little things are going to turn into. I highly, highly doubt that I'm going to have the stamina to make hundreds and hundreds of these to make a blanket. Like Amelia made that beautiful little mini crocheted square Afghan, granny square Afghan, and it's all together, and it is fabulous. I don't remember how many squares she put in that. I'm going to have to ask her. Hers look a little bit bigger than what mine are turning out to be, about 2 1/4 or 2.5 inches at the most. I'm not sure what I'm, maybe I should have done like one more round on each of them, because I did 4. So like I made my center point and then, you know, went out 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds, I guess is what I don't know the terminology for crochet, because this is the only thing I really know how to crochet. That, and I can do some simple edgings. I don't crochet. But I do enjoy doing granny squares because they are mindless and they're so fast. I got 6 of them done the day of the show. Just sitting there at the show crocheting, I got 6 finished. And between Saturday night when I got home, because I sat and was watching a movie with Christopher, he was here, and then Sunday, yesterday, because I mostly relaxed yesterday. I needed a down day after a show. I have 14 of them now. Just tells you, and that's not all I've done. I've worked on other stuff too. Anyway, I'm using leftover sock yarn, and I'm using leftover hand spun that is light enough to get away with. These are both hand spun, and I have no idea at this point what the fiber was, but they're knitting up okay. I'm using a size, and see, I don't know anything about crochet hook sizes. There was a vendor right across from me who was selling crochet hooks. I actually had to buy one because I did not have one small enough. Most of my crochet hooks are big, you know, and I had one super, super tiny one that I used for beading one time. But this one is a C2. It's a 2.75 millimeter. And I thought I remembered Danny from Little Bobbin's Knits saying that she was using a 2.5 millimeter crochet hook to make hers. And the vendor I got this from didn't have the 2.5. They had this one, 2.75. And actually I bought a 2.25 and a 2.75 from them because I just didn't know what would work better. The other one was way, way too small. I probably actually could have gone up one size from this, I think, because the hand spun yarn is a little bit too fluffy, and it's really hard to get that little hook. I don't know if you can even see it, how small it is. That's not helping at all. Anyway, it's a tiny crochet hook, but it's working. And I'm having fun with them, and I'm, like I said, I'm just using, this is some of my yarn. That's the grayscale colorway. This is some leftover Fruit Loops. This is some leftover 3 Irish Girls. You Are My Sunshine that I made that shawl out of. This is some leftover Nyan Cat. I wanted to use the rainbowy section of the Nyan Cat, so I did that. These 2 are from March's Minis of the Month. I could not get all 3 colors in one, so I just did 2 of them. So one has the green and the blue, and one has the green and the purple. This is another hand spun, and this was actually, I want to say it's a merino bamboo. I think it was merino. I know it has bamboo in it. This is from Bunny Patch Fibers. I honestly don't know if she's still dying. I haven't shopped with her in a long, long time. But I did a couple different shawls out of this merino bamboo, or this bamboo blended fiber. And I loved it so much. So that was one of them. This is the other one. I made my Caricia shawl out of this. The pink one I made a shawl as a swap. I was in a shawl swap one time, and I actually spun the yarn for it. So this yellow one, though, I made myself a shawl. Ah! This is another Fruit Loops one. This, I can't remember. This might be Cherry Tree Hill sock yarn. I don't remember. This was a little bit heavier, so this is one of the ones that turned out a little bit bigger. This... There's other colors. You can see the red. There's a reddish and an orange. This is one of my colorways, and I'm totally blanking on what it is now. Isn't that sad? Anyway, the square itself only ended up with the white and the yellow, which I like. It actually reminds me of an egg, sort of. And then this one is some Ria de la Plata yarn that I knit socks out of ages ago. I knit monkey socks out of this, and the first time I washed them, they felted. Because apparently this is not superwash yarn, or not good superwash yarn. I love the yarn and I love the colors, though, so it was fun to make a little square out of it because you get all those fun colors in there. So anyway, those are all my little itty bitty crochet squares that I don't have a clue what I'm going to do with. My thought is I could always make a pillow, or I could make a table runner. Holy 70s Batman, or you know, or 60s, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just not sure what I'm going to make out of them. So for right now, I'm not worrying about it. I'm just enjoying the process of crocheting them. I told a friend of mine last night, he asked what I was doing. I'm like, I'm sitting here crocheting. He's like, you're doing what? Because I don't crochet very often. He's like, wait, that doesn't compute. I'm not quite sure I heard you right. Like, yes, I'm crocheting. So anyway, so that was my other thing that I cast on. I guess you call it casting on if you cast them on and bind them off. What is, I don't really know crochet terminology because I don't crochet much. So that's what I worked on, and that's a lot for a week and a half, plus getting ready for a show, plus working on wholesale orders. I think I made a lot of progress. I'm very happy with myself. I did spin a little bit on that Unwind Yarn Company Swirl BFL that you saw, the Harvestman colorway, but I'm still only on the first half, so I'm spinning the second half of the first half, so the second quarter, I guess, of the fiber, and it's not done, so I didn't bother taking it off my wheel just because it doesn't look a whole lot different than it did the last time you saw it. My design projects are kind of stalled right now. I did not work at all on the design socks. The Rambler cow, which I really, really, really wanted to have had done, the pattern finalized, and have knit a second one myself for the show last weekend. That just didn't happen. That was way, way too ambitious. So still working on it. It'll get there. Just be patient. And all my test knitters who knit it and were expecting it to be out by now, I apologize. I don't know how much they really care that it was out by now, but I feel bad because I really had my goal to have it done by the end of March, and that clearly did not happen. I need to resist the urge to start designing when I'm super busy with a million other things. And that's always when the urge to design hits me. I don't know why. It's weird. It's kind of like whenever you have some other huge project, like you have to do your taxes. You know you have to get your taxes done. But suddenly it seems like the perfect time to do all of your spring cleaning, like clean the windows and the screens and swap out your winter and summer clothes and everything else that you never ever want to do, like wash all the floors or whatever. Suddenly, that seems like the best thing in the world to do instead of doing the big project like your taxes or something that you need to do. And here in the United States, you only have a couple more days. If you haven't done them yet, better get going. So, I don't know where that came from. All right, the repurposing challenge that I mentioned last week. First of all, thank you to the person in the group, and I didn't remember to look up who it was, who started the thread because I totally forgot. Told you I was totally running on fumes last time I recorded, and I said I was going to start a thread for repurposing, what you can do with repurposing, not the yarn that you reclaim, like not to unwind something, but like if you have a sock with a hole in it, how can you repurpose the good part of that sock? Let's see, who was it? It was Artist Maybe. She was the one who went ahead. Mary. Thank you. Thank you, Mary, for starting the thread. And so there has been some chatter about different things that you might be able to do with all of your like a little leftovery things. There's some links to projects, different places. So please feel free to chime in on that. One of the things I wanted to share with you, I haven't done it yet, but this was actually what got me started thinking about this. Over the holidays last year, I was standing in a very, very long and slow line at Joann Fabrics because they never, ever, ever have enough checkout people, ever, especially during the holidays. And not that I'm bitter about that, but you know, they have all those bins of little things, and maybe that's why they do it, so you'll buy more junk, you know, that's sitting there. But anyway, they had a huge bin of these just stretchy, stretchy little mitts. They're $1 a pair, for goodness sake. Or gloves, I'm sorry. Well, I picked up 3 pair because I thought, what if you took these and the seam, I mean, they are like, there's a hem where the cuff is turned over. It's super easy to pick out. I started picking out one of them just standing in line, waiting to check out. I didn't even need any tools. It's not sewn in there really well. But you could unpick that and unfold it, and then you could cut off the cuff of a sock that would coordinate with the gloves. And you could basically just take your sewing machine and stitch it right onto here and have a pretty decorative cuff for some gloves, because I hate knitting gloves. I don't like doing fingers, but this would be such a super easy cheater way to do that. Now, I have absolutely no idea, you know, width-wise how that would work out, because I have the feeling most cuffs of socks are probably a little wider than these short, small, stretchy, but once they're on, I think it would be okay. So I'm going to give that a try just for the heck of it, because I have these gloves and I have lots of socks. I found a whole bag of socks downstairs in my secondary yarn room, my bat room, that have holes in them that I forgot that I mean, these are really old socks, hand knit socks, but older than the ones I have up here. So yeah, I'm going to try that and see what that looks like. It may be just weird and it may not work out well at all, but it was an idea I had, so, you know, give it a try. I do not have any new podcasts to tell you about because I haven't been watching many podcasts in the last week or so. I've just been too busy. I do have some new things to show you, though. And some of them were things I couldn't show you last week because they weren't here, and they're here now. The first one, this is some yarn from Ross Farms, which if you've not heard of the Ross Farm, they're actually located in southwestern Pennsylvania, about an hour or so from where I am. I've never been to their farm, but they've vended at a lot of the same shows I've vended at. So I've met them several times through there. It's Amy and Scooter Pie. Anyway, they focus on heritage and rare breed fibers, and their stuff is just phenomenal. I've never purchased any before, not because of any reason, just I've never gotten around to it. Like at shows, you know, if you ever vended a show, it's like great, you run around, you see stuff if you have a break, but then you're usually too busy to actually shop, and that's usually been the case for me too. But I was involved in the Soulful Stash swap that New Hampshire Knits and Fiber Trek TV were doing, and I wanted to send my partner, my swap partner, yarn from Ross Farms. I knew that, and in chatting with her, she had mentioned about, since I do so much color, she'd love some color. Well, that would have been great if I carried like domestic local yarn, but I didn't. So I needed to get it from another farm, and that's why I chose Ross Farms, but I wanted to dye it for her. Well, seeing as I have never dyed this particular yarn, and this is, oh my gosh, Leicester long wool. I'm sorry. It's not written on the ball band. That's why I'm having trouble. But it's a 250 yard skein of sport weight yarn, 150 grams, 2.5 ounce or 5.2 ounces. But I bought 2 of them just in case I totally fouled the first one up. And I didn't. It turned out beautifully. She loves it. She's gotten it now. But I wanted to have a backup skein just in case I messed up the first one. So since I didn't mess up the first one, I now have a skein of Ross Farms to play with, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I will probably dye it in some way. Maybe. I don't know. The natural color is really beautiful, and it's got such a pretty sheen being a long wool like that. And it's not super rough or anything. Like, I could wear this around my neck as a scarf easily. I don't think that would bother me at all. So anyway, I'm really happy to have this in my stash. It's going to be something special at some point in time. The other thing I had ordered last time, but it wasn't here yet, was from Vine. I have been trying to catch a Vine update forever, and I always miss them. But I got one this time. And I'm still holding out. I want her Outlander colorway so badly. And I'll get it one day. But anyway, this had been in her shop for a while, and I kept eyeing it up and just not sure if I was going to get it or not. But I finally decided to get it. This is a one-of-a-kind. This is her Smitten DK, which is a MCN base, which is very nice. And she called it Mood Indigo, but it is a one-of-a-kind colorway. Now, the last I was on there had been 2 when I purchased this one, so there may still be the other one up there. But I just love the colors in it. She does a lot of very, very muted colors, and I'm more of a brighter, darker, deeper color kind of person. So that's why this really appealed to me. The Outlander really appeals to me. And the other skein I got was totally fun. It's called Dirty on Purpose. And I just love this one. Online, it's even more beautiful in person than it is in the picture. It's a lot of sort of taupey, I don't even know how to describe them. Not brown so much, more of a taupe and gray and maybe a brownish color in there. There's lots of flecks though, and I believe these are on purpose flecks as opposed to the flecks that I get in my stuff, of red and some blue maybe, I don't know. Anyway, I couldn't see the flecks in the picture, or maybe I just didn't look close enough, but there's like a section here. Hi, are you gonna focus? There you go. Can you see this? Isn't that awesome? So I love the colorway name Dirty on Purpose. And this is in her Strass base, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards. Sock weight. So I am very, very excited to have some Vine in my stash now. And the other thing that I've never had in my stash, and I'm really happy to have, although I don't have her yarn yet, I do want to get some, is from Jinx Yarns. And I got fiber. Sorry, I'm going to take this out of the baggie so that you can see it better. This is the fiber I purchased. It's a mixed BFL. And the colorway's name is Lisa. Like, how could I not buy that? Because it's got such awesome colors that I love. All the purples and teals, and there's a fuchsia kind of pink in there. And then there's got, you know, the darker colors from it being a mixed BFL to begin with. It's just lovely, and it's soft and squishy, and so I was very excited to get this. And it's funny, the night she did her update, I was actually out at a social function that evening. I kept excusing myself to go to the bathroom just so that I could hit the update because I didn't want to miss it. And I think my phone mustn't have been refreshing regularly anyway, because it took a while after the update had started for my phone to actually show me that it had updated. And I kept refreshing, so I don't know what the deal was. But I'm sure people probably thought I was sick or something, or was having issues, because I went to the bathroom like 3 or 4 times inside of an hour trying to catch this. So anyway, more than you needed to know, right? Those are my new things. And the only thing, I was really, really good at the show on Saturday. I could have purchased a lot, and I didn't. The only thing I purchased was from the booth right next to me, which is a friend of mine, Gwen, from Gwen Aaron Fibers. We've vended a lot of things together, too, so I've gotten to know her over the years. She does the most beautiful farm wool kind of dyeing, and she sells her hand spun, and she's got a lot of just really interesting things. She does bats. I've had some of her bats, but she has locks too. She dyes locks of different fibers. I bought this giant bag. She had just like a big bowl full of them, so I picked out what I wanted and ended up with about 7 ounces of dyed locks. I know you are not going to be able to see through this bag, but I'm not opening it up because it's just going to go everywhere. These locks are a Romney Borderleister BFL cross. Isn't that interesting? I've never even heard of such a breed, a cross, but whatever. I'm happy with it. But there are like reds and greens and blues and what, like the natural kind of colors. just a mishmash of so many different colors. And the main reason I bought these is because I'm going to put them in blending kits. I'm going to make more blending kits for the shop soon. And I'm going to add these as some of the locks. Because I have some more locks, actually, I think I got from her. But they're only in a couple of colors. So now I'll have a more diverse colorway set that I can send. And the other ones I have, I think, are mohair locks, too. So these are a different breed of lock. And I'm very excited to have those to share with you guys. So you can be looking for those in the future. The only other thing coming up, Maryland Sheep and Wool is in less than 3 weeks now. That's like when I was driving out to the show on Friday, I realized 3 weeks from then I'd be driving to Maryland with Melissa. So yeah, less than 3 weeks. I can't believe it's this close. I'm looking forward to it. So much to get done between now and then, though. Oh my goodness. Can't even begin to tell you. But once it's done, like once I get to Maryland, I'll know all that's done and I will be able to just relax and have a good time that week or that weekend. Because we're going down Friday and then we'll be there both Saturday and Sunday and drive back here Sunday evening. And then she leaves Monday. So it'll be a really fast time, but I'm not at Ridgemont High. I don't know. It's just going to be a really good time, and I can't wait. That's kind of like my reward for living through these past 2 months of crazy, sheer crazy busyness. 10%. Let's see. There was Easter. Easter happened right after the last time I recorded. My Easter was very quiet. This is what happens when you're an empty nester and your kids don't get to come home all the time. Christopher was here in the morning, so we did breakfast. I have this egg casserole thing that over the years, I've made it every year for Easter pretty much. So my kids dubbed it Easter egg casserole. It does not have actual Easter eggs in it, but we call it Easter egg casserole. So I made a small dish of that for him and we enjoyed that. And then he took off, and I ended up going to church with a friend of mine who invited me to her church that day. So that was nice. And then the rest of the day, I was just home. You know, I basically just chilled. Like I said, I may have worked a little bit that day. I don't remember because I was really trying not to work that day. I just wanted to relax. I did a lot of knitting. I watched movies. I don't even remember what I watched at this point, but I know I watched some movies. It was a nice day out. I was actually outside a little bit. I think I went down to the garden that day, and I pulled out my sunflowers that were still there from like the carcasses of the sunflowers from last year, and my zinnias and stuff. They were still, so I piled that up and just checked out my garden. The garlic is coming up. I planted garlic last fall, and it's poking its little heads up. Well, not actual heads. The heads are underground, but you know what I mean. The greens are coming up. I cleaned off my back porch a little bit, so it can be used. I can actually sit down at the table out there. Yeah, so that kind of thing. Just sort of little stuff, relaxed. Did a lot of knitting that day. That was fun. Having beautiful weather lately. Oh my goodness. I am loving this weather. I was outside yesterday. I washed all my windows and I washed the screens and put them in. That's one of my favorite springtime tasks to do. I absolutely love doing that because now I can have my windows open without the cat going in and out, and without other people's cats coming in or birds. I've had both. Yeah, so that's done. If I was really thinking about it, I should have cleaned my living room carpet yesterday because I could have had the windows open for it to dry, but I didn't. So maybe one day this week. What else? I need to play with my driveway. There's a bunch of gravel that got pushed when I plowed. It got pushed over to the one side and sort of over into the yard. I need to rake that all back up, and then I want to plow it over closer to the house because I've got a flower bed along the house. That was my goal, was to have it be a flower bed. It's never been a good flower bed. I mean, when I moved into this house, it had been sort of a flower bed. There had been some bushes. It was more weeds than anything. It's a pain in the butt. So I'm mostly going to just fill it in with gravel. That's my ultimate decision. But I want to do that while I still have the plow on the tractor so I can push it over there more than having to rake it by hand. But I need to get the plow off the tractor soon because I'm going to have to start mowing. My grass is growing. As a matter of fact, I almost got the push mower out yesterday just to do my front yard, but then I didn't. So, What else? I really want to get into the garden though. That was the other thing I thought about doing yesterday, was just going out to my herb garden out front and cleaning it up a little bit. Some things are coming back. I noticed that, and some things won't. But my chives are definitely coming back. The oregano came back. There's some mint that's coming up. Mint always comes back pretty much. But it needs to be cleaned up and cleaned out. And then I want to plant some onions because I did buy onion sets. That's another sign of spring for me. I love onion sets. So I'll get some of those in the ground. But yeah, I was being lazy yesterday because I was a day after a show and I always need a down day at that point. So shop news. Let's just move into this real quick because it's not going to take long. I vended at A Knitter's Fantasy in Youngstown, Ohio on Saturday. It was a great show. I think it's the best one I've ever done there. It is one of my favorite shows to do, which is what makes me sad to know that I found out that this may have been the last year for that show. I did not know that going into it this year. Apparently it's online somewhere. I did not happen to run across that news though. And I learned it there that day and I'm like, you know, sad. There was some rumors going around that maybe one of the guilds who co-hosts it now, one of the guilds may just take it over and do it themselves. That would be awesome if they did that, but I think that's just hearsay at this point, so I'm not sure. So that means I will probably be looking for maybe another show to try to apply to around this time of year, because I like having a spring show and a fall show. And the fall show is always a Knitter's Fan, or Indie Knit and Spin here in Pittsburgh. So I like having one on either end of the summer. And then if I do something in the summer, that's kind of a bonus. But anyway, it was a great show. Got to see a lot of people who watched the podcast. So thank you so much for stopping by and introducing yourselves. I'm not going to name names because I know I don't remember them all and I don't want to sound like I'm leaving people out. But it's always fun. At this point, I'm mainly working on finishing up 2 wholesale orders that need to ship by the end of the month. I am working on getting pre-ordered items ready to go, both like special orders, and then the Pi Day orders are going to be going out next. That's my next dying thing, and then that pre-order update that I did at the end of March, those things will be next on my agenda after that. Some things I brought home from the show are going to be able to fill some of those orders. So this stuff is going to be going out in a staggered way. So if you know somebody else who happened to pre-order, say, Pi Day yarn, and they got theirs already, but you haven't, relax. I will get it to you by the date that I promised it. But since I have some left for from the show, I'm not going to put it up in the shop because it's already due out to somebody else. So I just want you guys to know that. What else? Yeah, so the pre-order stuff's going to be going out kind of in a staggered manner at this point. But I am going to be doing a shop update on Friday with the show leftovers. I am happy to say that this show was good enough that I don't really feel like I have enough left over to break it into 2 updates. I'm going to put it all up in one update. And I'm not going to show you everything because there's way too much. I have a bunch of worsted weight and fingering weight semi-solids. Some of those I'm just going to put directly up into the shop. They'll be live as soon as I put them in the shop. They're not going to wait for Friday's update. Some of them, the fingering weight ones, I'm going to hold back, and I'm going to divide those up into mini sets. So there will be some mini sets. Those will not be in the shop this week, though. Those will go into the shop the next update, which I'm not exactly sure when that's going to be, but it will be before the end of April. So stay tuned on that. There's a lot of fiber left from the show. And again, some of that I'm going to put in the shop, and some of those I'm going to break up and use to do blending sets. Since the blending sets really went over well the last time I had them in the shop, I want to do more. So I'm going to use some of the fiber braids for that. Mix and mingle different breeds. What else? There's a bunch of self-striping fingering weight that I will be putting in the shop for Friday's update. Very few inversibles left. They always sell really well. My flurry kits sold really, really well this update or this show, which I always take them, but they usually only a couple of them sell, but people really seem to be on the colorwork bandwagon this time. So I brought a couple of those home. They'll be in the shop. My fingering weight gradients, they sell usually okay. People Love them this time. I don't know what the difference was. I really don't. That's the thing about shows. There is no rhyme or reason for what people are going to buy. You just never know. So I don't have a lot of fingering weight gradients left, but the ones that are left, I will put in the shop. So the things that I'm gonna show you though are things that I had a couple of colorways that I did for the show. So I have to bend. I need to back up a little bit because I have a big bag. A couple of colorways that I've never done before, but because I was getting crazy. When I dive for a show, I kind of get bored sometimes doing the same colorways. So that's how new colorways sometimes come to be born. A new striping colorway that I developed while dyeing for the show is this one. It is called Cloudy with a Chance of Cherry Blossoms. And it has the dark magenta and then a paler magenta kind of pink with a silver gray. So that will be available both on Bounce and Bedazzled. And I have to give Heather credit for naming it. She came up with the name. It's fun to have somebody else help you name things sometimes. So there will be that. I don't know why. There will be some Fruit Loops. I don't know why I brought that up because that's not actually a new colorway. Another new striping colorway. I've actually done this combination as inversibles before, but I've never done it just as a full skein of striping. It's the cherry pink and orange, and I'm calling this Bollywood. I believe I did a special order for somebody one time with these colors, and after I did it, I'm like, ooh, I like that. So that one will be up. That's just in Bounce. Then in my tonal and variegateds, I did two new colorways that you've not seen before. And there will be both of these on my Sunshine light fingering weight base, the Bedazzled fingering weight base, and then my Elegance lace weight base. This colorway is called Frosted Blossoms. It's sort of similar to Cloudy with a Chance of Cherry Blossoms, but it's done in a variegated style. So pretty much the same colors, but a very, very different look. And the colors are most intense on Sunshine. They are much more muted on both the Bedazzled and the Elegance, because the Elegance has silk in it. So it's an 80-20 superwash merino and silk blend, which is a lovely blend actually. I'm thinking about adding a sock weight base in that same blend. We'll see. So that's one new one. The other new one on those same three bases, and I didn't bring one of the Elegance ones up. Sorry. I brought up two of the Sunshine. Thorin is the name of this one. And yes, it is. It's the namesake, the character from the Hobbit movies was the inspiration for this. And it's some taupe and green and gold. Because, you know, those dwarves, they're all about their gold. And Thorin had a gold issue going on there for a while. So, again, it will be on Sunshine, Bedazzled, and it'll also be on Elegance. I just didn't grab one of those to show you. So, I think there's only one left on Elegance because somebody did buy one. Anyway, those are the new colorways. Oh, see, now some of these are not actually new. Like this is one of the fingering weight gradients. It's a 5 color gradient. Most of my fingering weight gradients are usually 3 or 4. I did some in 5 colors this time, and this is a variation on Deep Fire. I'm calling it Molten though because it's different enough. The colors, I blended some colors to get this colorway. The pictures on the site will be much more clear. So that one's sort of a new-ish color. Let's see. Doubletree is one of the gradients, fingering weight gradients I have left. Electric Avenue is one of the fingering weight gradients I have left. And Gunmetal is one of them. And I think those are the only fingering weight gradients. I do have a bunch of the DK weight gradients that I sell with the coupon code for my Takush Chakao. So it's kind of a set. The free pattern, because you're only paying for the yarn, but you do get the pattern or the yeah, you get the pattern download code for Ravelry. So if you want to use the yarn for that, you can. If you don't, you can use it for whatever you want, and you just have the pattern for whatever other thing you might want to make with it. So anyway, but the update will be this coming Friday, the 17th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Everything that I've showed you here will be going into it. The blending kits that I mentioned and the mini skein sets will not be in this update. I'm going to put those up in a separate update. I'm going to aim for sometime that last week in April. I just don't know which day yet. It obviously will not be that Friday because that will be the day I'm going to Maryland. I don't think I'll have everything ready for the 24th or 25th, which is next weekend, but we'll see. So just stay tuned. I will podcast again before that update, so you'll know. But all the show leftover stuff will be in this update. So, alrighty, that is everything, and I'm going to go because I've got a big day of work ahead of me, and I hope you have a fabulous week, and until then, take care. Bye.